I heard from God. So as you can see from the title of the video, but this wasn't some sort of massive revelation, although maybe I will do a video on that one day. This is more talking about the subtlety that I've been hearing throughout my whole life, and you probably have as well. Something that you have to quieten down to pick up on. That's why I love meditation so much, or prayer, whatever you want to call it, because it gives you that time to slow down, to listen to what's really important, to listen to what is really important in your life going forward. Because I think I've always felt like everything I do, like I've had hundreds of jobs, and I feel like everything I've ever done has been sort of leading me to where I am now. And great book, Plant Intelligence, The Imaginal Realm, talks about following the golden thread, which I think is so good, because it's like this golden thread that I feel I've been following that's brought me to the point that I am at now, doing what I'm doing, helping people with mindset, breathwork, meditation, anxiety. And if it wasn't for slowing down and listening to those subtle influences, I'd have never been doing this. I'd have been blind, my eyes would have been closed, I would have been in the rat race, or doing something that I thought I liked, or even doing something that maybe I liked, but wanting for things that I didn't have. And like that hedonic treadmill, you're always looking for more, you're always wanting more. Whereas I think when you slow down and actually sit with yourself, you become comfortable with yourself, you work out what you actually want to do in life, you accept yourself for who you are. That is a massive point, it's a big point, and I'm going to do a video on self-acceptance very soon. But when you give yourself time, when you slow down, when you meditate, when you ask yourself questions, that's when you find out what your true purpose is. And these things can come to you in the subtlest of ways. That's why I always like to make sure I'm filling my mind with positivity, with things that are uplifting, with things that are encouraging and motivating for the journey that I'm on. Flossie! Good girl. Good girl. So I think when you slow down and you tune in, it might be just a subtle inkling like you should be doing this. You probably know what I mean if you've sat down in meditation or you've taken time to collect your own thoughts, because we race through our lives so much these days with constant noise, whether it's music when we're on the bus or the tube or the way to work or whatever it may be. And then we get home, we listen to the TV. We've got constant stimulation, podcasts. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but we need to also allow ourselves to have time to slow down and to listen to the golden thread, the pull of what's really important in our lives, because we must find that out. We don't have a long time. All we have is time, but it goes quickly. And so it's so important to find out, because we don't want to live a life of mediocrity. We want to live a life of fulfillment. And if fulfillment for you means sitting, meditating, doing absolutely nothing, that's absolutely fine. That's not what I mean by mediocrity. What I mean is you don't want to live a life where you feel like you're not achieving what you should do. That's the most important thing. We always need to work out what we think, what we find important, and speak to God, the most important thing. So getting back to the main original point, how do I hear from God? He pulls me in all sorts of directions, whether it's jobs you want to get and you don't get, trips you want to go on and you don't go on, relationships that you think you want, and you later realise that they weren't meant for you. All of these subtle things are God pulling you in certain ways, and we must tune in and listen to them and work out what fulfills us in our lives. Because when you speak to people, not that I've spoke to many people on their deathbeds, but I've watched a documentary about it, and they said one of their main regrets is feeling like they didn't do what they wanted to in their own life, feeling like they were living their life for somebody else. So I think it's so important that we live our lives for ourselves, but we take time to sit with our own thoughts and be guided by God, or whatever you want to call it, whether you want to call it a higher power, the universe, the cosmos, energy, it's all the same thing. But when we slow down, when we meditate, when we pray, when we just sit in silence, it gives us time to process thoughts that we may be having throughout the day, channeling that intuition, because we all have it. It's what I like to think of when you're following this golden thread. It's like these bolts of lightning that come to you when you're meditating or when you're in silence. You think, that's a great idea. Where's that come from? That's come from God. That's God giving you something He wants to work on. So make sure you sit down, make sure you're quiet, you listen to what He's saying. Because it's in those moments that you'll find the most profound ideas come to you. And those ideas might change your life forever. They might be the thing that then shapes who you are as a person. They might be the thing that means you change career, change jobs, change relationship, if that needs to happen. But when you sit down and you let your thoughts really speak to you, it's incredibly powerful. Because I know I spent a long time in constant noise. I went to sleep with films playing. I couldn't stand just silence, because I hadn't processed things that I needed to process. I hadn't sat with my emotions. I hadn't thought about who I want to be as a person. I hadn't dealt with any of these things that you need to. And when you sit down and give yourself time to do that, it can be incredibly powerful. And that's when you can have communication with God, with a higher power, with that presence of something bigger than ourselves, because that's what's really important. We realise that, I think Bob Marley said it so wonderfully. He said, Flossie! He said that his life was for other people, and that if his life was just for him, he doesn't want it. And it's so true. When we live our lives for other people, it's so much more fulfilling. We should all be living for each other. We should be living a very different way. It's too windy, I'm going to turn this way. Hopefully you can hear, I've got the microphone there. We should all be living a very different way. We shouldn't be mean to each other on Instagram and YouTube. We shouldn't be saying mean things. We should be lifting each other up. We should be spreading love and peace and oneness, because we are all one. We're all one person. I watched a great documentary recently from the International Space Station. They look down on Earth, and there's no boundaries, no borders, no different populations, no races. all you see is one earth, one people, one landmass. And it's so true, we let these things separate us. I like rock music, I like hip hop, I like wearing these clothes, that person has that skin colour, but it makes no difference. We should all spread love and unity between everyone on this planet. That's the number one most important thing. So getting back to communication with God, how do we do it? Sit there, just sit in silence. Ask yourself questions. What do I want to do in life? What's important to me in life? Say, God, answer me these questions. Give me some information. Ask God, ask the universe. Whatever you want to say, whatever religion you are, or spiritual, whatever, it doesn't matter what you say, just say, universe, God, guide me with this, help me with this. And eventually it will all slot into place. And you'll become more attuned to listening to that sound, or more attuned to listening to your intuition, which is coming from God. And you'll be able to hear on it, act on it, and you'll feel more fulfilled. That's how we can live lives that feel truly purposeful, connecting with one another, helping one another, living and loving through our purpose. And that doesn't mean to say that we need to be racing around doing a million things, like I said a second ago. If that just means you want to spend your life as a monk or in the hills praying for people, like the fathers did in Egypt, their whole life was dedicated to prayer. That's important spiritual warfare. You know, if all you wanted to do is pray for people, that's absolutely fine. Just find what your purpose is. Speak with God and live the life that you're meant to be living, not the life that somebody else expects from you. You only have one life on this earth. Live it the way that's truly right for you, and truly right for the world. Speaking with God. I hope you enjoyed this style of video, the first one of this series. I'm going to try and do 5 every day, not every day, 5 every week. If you enjoyed it, please like, maybe leave a comment, let me know your thoughts. And do remember to speak with God. That's meditation.